Hello everyone. So as you know, the government brought in restrictions. As we all knew they were probably at some stage would bring in restrictions, obviously with COVID and things. We all know the crack. And obviously they did. They came along and did it anyway. Even though there's no need, they say the vaccine passports work. They're supposed to drive down the numbers. And really, how? Please explain. Because there is things happen, as we said, nightclubs, bars will be closed by 12 o'clock at night. Apparently COVID comes out at 12 o'clock at night. Apparently it's nowhere to be found any other hours. It comes out at 12 o'clock at night. Doesn't again, it doesn't make much sense, let's be fair. That doesn't make much sense. Like again, I don't know what Neffet's smoking, but Neffet probably are smoking a lot. Um but it doesn't make any sense. But again, this a whole lot doesn't make any sense. And as you know, the government just love their power and they just couldn't be bothered to give it away, or even let anybody just relax, just chillax. And me whole Martin spoke, me whole Martin, excuse me. I was watching, I was having a great time, and I was better off because I had a better laugh and everything that, like me whole Martin, very depressed, and I watched a bit of his speech, like you think, we're about to all be shot. Like again, well, this is kind of like the Soviet Union in the 1930s taking people out and just randomly disappearing in the middle of the night who disagree with the government. That's what you're getting off me, Martin. You don't get that a leader that actually cares about people's health. Like, when did ever Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael or any of the government parties in this country ever care about you and I's health? Take, for example, I know people who are on waiting lists years and years for operations, and they never seem to give a fuck. They went to Fianna Fáil these county councillors, never cared. They never really give much of a damn about their own, their health. And now all of a sudden they care. All of a sudden they care and they're like covered. But it doesn't matter that they're waiting for operations for the hips. And, again, you could go on and could go forward. So obviously they want to expand the vaccine passports, which they don't work. Let's be fair, we have to admit it straight. I know it might be misleading or whatever. But I don't see the evidence. If vaccine passports work, take for example in pubs and restaurants, the cases would be at probably one or two. If it did work, because again, the way they were explaining Luke O'Neill, not professor as I call him, we shouldn't have any cases if the vaccine passports worked. Because the way they advertised it to us, and again, it's advertising, it's trying to advertise, get people to buy into it, that, this was the solution. This was basically the solution along with the vaccine. And that doesn't seem to be the case, because again, we're going backwards. We're not going forwards, we're going backwards. Which is not a good thing, because again, the government take now, that they can get off it and they can bring in a lockdown. When do you see next week or next month, they could be coming along and saying, we have to stop people doing this, that, and we're going to close down the country again, just because we feel like, even though 95% of the population are vaccinated, it doesn't make any sense. But should look at, let the lunatics do what they want, I suppose, but the day will come. And also, too, this would take a huge effect on your shops and businesses and everything like that. And we have to think about that. Because particularly the other thing that was said about it was people who are non-essential workers. Like, take for example in an office, the county council offices for example, we have staff and things like that, we have members, only members to answer the phones and things like that, they probably have to stay at home and work from home. But people like on the roads will have to go, because you can't do that from home, you can't get in the streets from home, even though you probably would do more at home. But you know what I'm saying. Again, this stops people, particularly in towns and villages. I've seen people who work in Town, take for example, they go out and get a coffee or something like that in a local business, or have a bit of a meal in the local businesses. And again, they lose that custom because they've been working from home. And that business losing custom and losing profit. And then, many things too, because, obviously on a Friday, people going home from work, maybe someone will get off early to go and do the shopping or whatever. And, now it's all tipsy-turvy. Again, it's the worst possible time. But again, this government, they really are playing with people's emotions. And that's not a good thing, playing with people's emotions, because again, it's more, it's really, at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, and this is the question you need to ask, and this is a fair question. I know people are anti-vax and this, that, and the other, but it's a fair question to ask, that we have to ask. Is this really about a virus? Is this really about protecting you and me, and the woman down the street and the man down the street? Is it really, because it's overextended, very much past protecting people? It's more or less borderline control and just complete control of people. That's more or less what's borderline. We have to be fair here. We're nearly 3 years into this crack. We're no further anywhere else. We're going backwards. Let's be fair. We're going backwards, and we've been told different things by different people. Nutty Professor, Luke O'Neill, 24 hours a day talking shite, Dr. Tony Hoolan talking shite. They say things and then the next week they'll be like, oh no. Because I remember the time, and again, Luke O'Neill, and again, the media probably go nuts, me mentioning it. But I remember him on the Late Late Show, Luke O'Neill. And I remember this very fondly. But he said masks don't work. And things like that. They don't work. And this is before the mandate of masks and things like that. And that's even whatever he calls himself. But, again, he said that they don't work. And we obviously can see that they don't work. Because I've seen people smoking and you're pulling down the mask, smoking, letting the air go out the side of its mask and going through the mask in some cases. So, if smoke can go through it like smoke, you're breathing in smoke obviously when you're smoking. You're only air, you can still spread particles. It doesn't do anything really. And I've seen that in posts, and again, it's not anti-vax who went to that. It's just take for example, if you smoke, went to that, just try it, put a mask on, and see what the smoke come out the side or whatever. Because it can guarantee you, because very few masks do that. It's outrageous, it's really, really outrageous. Again, who's fooling who here? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. Because it's just pure. It just pure doesn't make any sense. Let's be fair. Purely that too. Because when you see next week they'll bring it back to €9 meal. Just because why not at this stage? You might as well make no sense when you make no sense already. But it makes no sense. Again, me Hot Martin, no sense. No sense. Although the vaccines, are reducing numbers or whatever he whinged and quipped quite about. I don't know how he can whinge it. Conor McGregor put up a tweet there. And he basically said, what more do they want the people? Everything they asked the people. Again, that's all really to do with control. They just want more and more of you. They just constantly just want more and more of you. And I know that might sound like... But again, we have to look around and ask ourselves, is this really necessary, what we're doing? It is... it's a beyond belief that this is still going on nearly 3 years. It will go nearly into 3 years. Again, we have to acknowledge that it is nearly 3 years. And we're still going around in circles, literally open the one door, close the other door, going in the other door, going out the other door. It's just a loop. And it's just a loop that literally gets more extreme as we go on down the loop. And, the measures become more authoritarian by the second than more about a virus under control. But again, that's my rant over. But let me know what you think. I know people disagree with me. But, it's just the way I see it. And again, we have to just stand back, take a step back, look around, see what's happening. That's all I say. Thank you.